Hello, and welcome back, federal employees. Today's topic was requested specifically. Leo M, at least that's what his name came up as when he emailed me. Leo M emailed me a couple weeks ago, and he said, "Hey, I love your content. I love what you're doing, but hey, I'm a young federal employee. What are some of your best tips for someone that is young in their career?" And I talk about retirement, I talk about planning for retirement all the time. But I think it's a valid point, like, okay, if you have a few more years till retirement, what are the sort of things that you should be thinking about? And now there's going to be some overlap where some things that both groups are definitely going to want to think about, whether you're close to retirement or not. But there are a few things that you definitely want to ingrain in your habits, in your life when you're young. And as those decisions compound over time, you will be so much more prepared for retirement than you would otherwise because you started young, right? So there are five things, and I'm sure the list could be a lot longer, but I narrowed it down to 5 things that you should definitely start doing as a young federal employee. Now, if you're an older federal employee, definitely think about these, and if you're not doing some of these, definitely start. But if you're a young federal employee, this can be incredibly powerful, so let's dig right in. Number one is the most exciting, and it is know what you spend, right? And you might roll your eyes, but this is the foundation for the rest of your financial life, right? And I know I'm a financial planner, and of course I'm going to say this, but if you don't know what you spend, if you don't know what it costs just to pay for your living, right? To pay for your life, to pay for your family, whatever it is, then how can you prepare for the future? How can you plan for the future if you just don't know where your money goes? That is number one. Know where your money goes. Now, I'm not saying use a fancy budgeting software. I'm not saying you have to do it a certain way. I'm just saying know where your money's going, right? What does it cost for you to live? What does it cost for you to do things? How much do you make, right? And what's the difference there? Do you have any surplus? Are you saving any? Where is everything going? Once you nailed that down, once you know exactly, okay, this is what I'm making, this is where it's all going, and am I okay with where it's all going? And is this picture that I have just figured out exists, is this picture going to take me to where I want to go? If I keep doing what I'm doing now, is it going to take me to where I want to go? There's a lot of questions in there that you have to ask yourself. But this is step number one. It's foundational to your financial life. And this is important for retirees as well, right? Where's your money going? And is it working for you as best you can? Now, I'm not saying don't have fun and don't spend your money in non-smart ways. Like, take vacations, have fun, do things, just be smart. Know where it's going and make decisions that empower you to have the future that you want as well as the present. But if you don't know where things are going, then you just are guessing. You're hoping that the future is going to be better, and you don't know. Empower yourself with the knowledge of where you're at now, and then we can start thinking about the future. Okay. Number 2, and that is invest yesterday. And that's basically a smart aleck way of saying invest as much as you can as early as you can. When it comes to finance, when it comes to preparing for retirement in the future, there is one thing that is probably the most powerful element in all of planning, and that is time. When you have time, you can basically overcome anything. Anything comes up along the way. If you have time to recover, if you have time to save, if you have time to do things, then your chances of success increase dramatically. When it comes to investing, time is so powerful. Compounding interest and how things grow over time is just magnified so many fold just because you have time. And as a young federal employee, which this is targeted to, right? You probably do have time. You have some time before you want to retire. So start investing as much as you can today. As much as you possibly can, within reason, of course. Right? I'm not saying go crazy unless you can't afford to it. But do the best you can. And the time and the money that you invest today is going to grow to multiples of what it would if you wait. The money you invest at the beginning of your career grows so many more times, it doubles so many more times than the money you invest 10 years away from retirement. It is so, so powerful, right? I don't have any numbers, examples right here. Just go online, go to, let's say, an investment return calculator, and mess around with the time. Say, okay, let's say I invest $100 today. Let's say it grows at 10% per year, or whatever you want. Just fill in that and mess with the time. Say, okay, let's say I leave it in there for 10 years. Let's say I leave it in there for 20 years, or 30 years, 40 years. It becomes incredibly powerful. Okay, if you have not seen this for yourself, take my word for it. It is incredibly powerful. That's number 2. Okay, number 3. So this is, again, a popular one. Not really. That is life insurance. So I am a financial planner. Some financial planners sell insurance. I don't. I don't sell insurance. Sometimes my clients need life insurance, and so I help them get it, but I don't get a commission. I don't get paid that way. That's not how I get paid. But I still know the importance of life insurance. Life insurance is so incredibly important if it is important for you. Life insurance doesn't make sense for everyone. If someone is, let's say, young, they're single, they don't have any dependents, they don't have any debt, you may not have a need for life insurance. I don't know. But if you do, if you have people that rely on your income, they rely on you, you have debts, you have things that if you were gone tomorrow, if you're leaving a mess, then you might need life insurance. And I don't talk about this to be depressing. I talk about this just to remind us to be organized in life and to take responsibility for your affairs, for your life and your family, so that no matter what, they're taken care of. That your life is in order. That you are taking care of everything that you are responsible for, whether you're here, whether you're not. And so, like I said, I don't know if it makes sense for you, but if you think it does, think about life insurance. And then the next question is, how much do you need, right? Often a good term policy, whether with FEGLI, with the life insurance through the government, or through the private side, is good enough. Often you don't need a whole life policy because your life insurance needs usually don't last forever, right? And a whole life policy would last to the end of your life. It depends on what you need. But generally, most people just need insurance for a set amount of time. Say, okay, my kids are going to, rely on my income for the next, let's say, 10 years. How do I cover them so that if something happens to me, they are taken care of during that time period, right? And I don't know what makes sense for you. Again, I'm just saying, think about it. If you're a young federal employee, you generally have kids. You generally have dependents. You generally have people that rely on you. You're building your career. You have some debts. You generally need life insurance. Not all the time, like I said, but generally. So think about it. Okay, number 4. And I just touched on this a little bit, but say no to debt. I've mentioned this before in many videos. We are in a consumer-driven society of buy now, pay later, maybe. Right? And if you can't, no problem. We'll just charge you lots of interest. Debt can be a powerful thing. Let's say to buy a house, right? Some people would be paying rent a long, long time if a mortgage didn't exist, right? A mortgage can be very powerful, but most other types of debt are just not good for you and your financial life. First thing is they embolden people to spend beyond what they could actually afford, right? Say, oh, I could afford $300 a month when they really should not be buying a brand new car. Or maybe, oh, I could afford this payment on my credit card when they really shouldn't be buying that gadget at all until they could actually afford it. So I'm not saying don't buy nice things. I'm not saying all these things. Just think about it. Debt is not a good thing. It really delays your financial freedom. It delays preparing for the future because you're just trying to deal with yesterday. When you have debt today, it's because you made a decision yesterday that you're trying to pay for. And it's hard to think about the future if you're worried about yesterday. Okay? Like I said, all debt is not bad, and you have to look at your situation to see what makes sense for you. But many times people overextend themselves, even with a mortgage. They buy a house that is just too nice, too fancy, and then they really can't afford it. It stretches them beyond their means. I'm not saying that applies to you, but if it does, think about it. Okay. Number 5, last one, but definitely not least. What is your life plan? I'm a financial planner. Just by listening to this, you signed up to talk about your life plan. Even if it sounds hippy-dippy, all that good stuff, what are you working towards? What do you want? I mean, you're listening to this, so I assume that you're thinking about the future and thinking about planning and thinking about preparing as best you can for what's coming up. But what's your plan? What kind of life do you want? And how do you get there? What's your goals? Financially, but also just in life. Finances are not important by themselves. Finances and money are only important when you put it in the context of your life and what it can do for you, right? That's why money becomes so valuable, because you put it in the context of, okay, this money that I have is worthless just by itself. It's a number on a screen. But what if it creates security? What if it creates an incredible vacation for me and my family? What if it creates a great retirement? What if it creates this or that? Now that is valuable. What money can do is valuable. So that is why we care about it. That is why we try to do the best with our money, be organized with our money. That's why I talk about it all the time, because what it can do for your life, right? If you live your life for money, then in my opinion, you're doing it wrong. Everyone has a different opinion, but if you are earning money so that you can live life and do things, now that, for me, fires me up. That fires me up about a life that I love, about building wealth, building income, building things to create a life that I love. And that is how I approach it in my life. Is it perfect? Probably not. But this is how I think about preparing for the future. What kind of things do you want in your life? Not just material things, but what kind of people do you want in your life? What kind of experiences do you want in your life? And then once you know that, it is so much easier to plan, to look for the future, to know what you can do to get there. So, I hope this is helpful. Good luck. You're a young federal employee, you're starting out. Good luck. The federal government is a great place to work. You just have to think for yourself what makes sense for you. What do you want out of life? And go after it. Don't be afraid. Go after it. It's going to take work. It's going to take consistency. It's going to take a lot of time. But it is worth it. So, that is my thought for the day. Have a great rest of your day. And I'll see you next time.